Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We spoke earlier today to Trevor Walker, who's the CEO of Frontier Lithium, TSXV Lithium Explorer in Ontario. And if you want our thoughts and opinions on the conversation and indeed the company itself, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports, commentary from market experts from around the world on a variety of commodities. We also have summaries of other interviews that we've done. There are training videos and of course a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other. And if you go there now and sign up for the waitlist, you qualify for a 7-day free trial. And of course, we'd love your feedback and thoughts as well. So do leave your comments below, give us a like. And if you want to see what we talked about, take a look in the description. Trevor, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Matthew. Really happy to be on the show here.
Fantastic. Well,
how are you doing?
Yeah, good. It's the end of the week. I'm excited. There's a bottle of wine with my name on it coming up. It's been a long week. Next week looks even more frightening. But thank you for asking. So, where in the world are you?
I'm located in Sudbury, Ontario. So I'm about a 4-hour drive north of Toronto. So Sudbury is well known, of course, for really being a nickel capital and strong mining hub over here in North America.
Fantastic. And I can't help
Born and raised.
Born and raised. There you go, man and boy.
Yeah.
I can't help but notice the painting behind you there. That looks pretty awesome. Where's that from? What's that about?
That's a painting that was given to me from former chief Bart Mikas from Sandy Lake up in northwestern Ontario. Sandy Lake's the largest community in our project area, which of course we'll get into here shortly. But basically the painting is, Bart's a well-known artist, and he painted a Thunderbird over some community members paddling on Sandy Lake there. So, basically the Thunderbird is a sacred entity for First Nations, especially in our area here in the north, and it's really a sign of a good luck. So it's a good reminder of the communities for us, and the great opportunity that our project presents, not only to ourselves and shareholders, but of course our partners in the area as well. So,
beautiful. No, it's absolutely
sign of good luck.
Stunning.
Good things coming. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Well, we're about to find out, aren't we? So you're going to tell us all about it. So we've not spoken before, and I've not heard this story. I'm looking forward to it. Lithium's sort of on the up. People are paying attention again. Lots of people out there pumping lithium stories. So why don't you kick off? Give me a 1-minute overview of your business, and then I'll pick it up from there.
Sure. At a high level, Frontier Lithium trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol FL. Frontier is developing a really high quality spodumene lithium asset in North America. The asset's located basically in the Great Lakes region, which is, we think, a real important location as the EV story unfolds. And the company is obviously we're a small early stage company, roughly $50 million market cap, but we've got a really strong team, fantastic asset. We believe the goods to really have the ability to participate in what we think is coming. And, obviously to the benefit of our company, our shareholders, and our region in general. It's hard to find great assets, and there's still lots of them located in central Canada and in northern Ontario. So we're Northerners, and real keep it simple strategy, and very hands-on, and very aware of what's happening, but realize that we got to stay really focused, and we got to deliver, especially in the next couple of years here. So.
Okay, thanks for that. So I do want to find out what you've walked into and what you're trying to build. But first, tell me a little bit about you. So what are you bringing to the table for this company?
So I'm the president and CEO of the company. I've been at Frontier since 2010. My my vintage, I'm early 40s. My background is I had the luxury as a kid growing up in a very strong entrepreneurial family, large contracting group, focus on mining. I learned niche markets and learned how to compete against multinationals. Learned how to get my hands dirty, and as a result of that experience, it's led to me working, in precious metals in a mining scenario, to base metals, and more specifically industrial minerals. So a good background on mining. So really my strength is understanding how to move material and how to mine, and how to deliver a product that's usable for an application. So I also represent the largest shareholding of Frontier, and that would be our family. So we maintain roughly a 20% position in Frontier. I'm lucky to have two older brothers that run private groups day to day, and I'm full time on this small public company. So, my job is to build value, and I'm really excited because I think there's huge opportunity in the battery material space, these critical materials, and of course a focus for us on lithium. So grew up in a mining town, and it's in our blood, and it really starts at the resource, and we've focused on science first, and now the business aspect is starting to trickle into our day-to-day here.
Okay, I get that. Okay, the lithium's been a tough space for the past few years, and obviously you kind of in 2018, like along with everyone else, kind of your share price went up. It's kind of been on the decline ever since. Lithium's not really been talked about, loved, or quite frankly understood in that time. I noticed that you brought Steve Letwin on. We know Steve from IAMGOLD days, and I know he's now sort of stepped away from that and is running I think it's Marco Resources and things like that. So he's a markets guy. Are you, because of your background, do you need to see more people like Steve come in here and help you deal with the market side of things? Because being market savvy and knowing how to move stuff, two different skill sets. So, I mean, what are you trying to achieve with bringing Steve on?
No, I mean, absolutely. It's all about having the right team. You can have a great asset with the wrong team, as we all know, and things can fail very quickly. So absolutely, it's about attracting the ability to bring the right people on, such as Steve. So Steve is, to your point, a recent addition to the board, and you're 100% correct. He brings a wealth of experience, especially on the capital market side, that we needed to bring in. Things are starting to happen in this business, and for every door that you go through on that decision tree, you're closing 4 others. So it's really important to make sure you've got experience around to make sure that we're headed in the right direction. So known Steve for a few years, and it's been a slow process to get him on board. Of course, he's been very busy at his at IAMGOLD specifically. So with him retiring from there in the spring, it was the perfect opportunity to get him on board. So we're really excited and having lots of fun already, and learning lots. So
great. Okay. Well, let's talk about what you walked into, because you've been there 10 years. Okay. Let's deal with that, and we'll kind of come back to the Steve and what he's bringing to the table for you guys. So 10 years ago, what was Frontier Lithium?
The company had various assets, gold asset, platinum, palladium asset, all greenfield projects, and where a bit of luck came in for me. They had the PAC project asset sitting in the portfolio as well. So I was asked to come into the company. Came in around 2010, and looked at, of course, the first thing you do is try and get that snapshot of where we're at and what do we have, and so that led to a process of elimination. And spare you the details, I remember the conversation with the chairman here, and his words of advice were, every time a company tries to save the crown jewels, and you got to bear in mind this was a distressed company at the time, so it needed someone to really get their hands dirty. So back to his comment, every time a company tries to save the crown jewels, they never survive. And therein lied the opportunity for the company, because I was very aware of what Elon Musk was up to with Tesla, and really understood, the applications for lithium at that time for portable electronics, and just really aware. And based on the experience that we have, looked at the property and saw the potential. And there was a high grade showing of the mineral spodumene, up to 4% right at surface. It's only about 12 meters wide in that particular area, but we could tell that there was quite a bit of upside with the geology in the area. So essentially divested out of gold and platinum palladium assets, and began the test work. The asset, was discovered in the 90s by the OGS, the Ontario Geologic Survey, and they had done some preliminary work. So we went in, duplicated that, and got some confirmation that what they felt was there was true. And 2013, we put the first drill hole in. So rolled the die a little bit, and I snowshoed in and got the drill in, and put the first hole in 2013. And it was a fun time, because I was essentially raising money on the sat phone in that first hole. So that's really the beginnings, and we've been focused on the PAC lithium project again in Northwestern Ontario ever since then. And we've been pulled in many directions by various people, groups, companies, and we've stayed really true to our roots, and that is science first, business second. You really got to understand what the potential is and where it could fit into the world before you start making brash decisions. So we've taken a very pragmatic, logical, one step at a time approach since then.
Yeah, I guess that's the bit. What I'm trying to understand is the mindset, right? So the business plan. So you got in 2010, 3 years later, you're drilling a hole. It's not particularly rapid turnaround. Then 7 years later, we're having this conversation about what you're going to do. So I get the kind of the cautious approach, and it's science first, business second. But in mining, those two things got to work together, right? You've got to advance things quickly, or people don't think you're serious about it. So when you're saying people are pulling you in all directions, what do you mean by that? You were distracted?
So, for example, back to your comment, one criticism that people have had in the past is that pace. So we've essentially invested $2 to $3 million a year into the project. Before the 2016 and 2018 rise, we would have been criticized out of peers out of Quebec, for example, that we were moving too slowly. And, in hindsight, quite happy. I've always referenced, this whole EV story as an evolution, not a revolution. And it's really critical that you have the resource and quality right, and you really understand that before you start thinking about production of lithium chemicals. From a pure cost basis, if you look at the cost of producing lithium chemical, roughly 60 to 70% of that final cost is actually the cost of the feedstock or concentrate, or the main input going into a chemical plant. So, that in itself really displays that you really got to show that you can produce a viable, good, clean concentrate first before you start spending money and thinking about getting ahead of yourself, that you're going to become a lithium or a chemical producer in a short period of time. It's a niche market. It's a very difficult market. It's controlled by a few groups, and it's not an easy game to get into. So you got to have the goods. And the good, fast forward, we've seen in Quebec some struggle, and we're still here, and our steps are starting to become easier to where they were 3 or 4 years ago. So I think we've had the right approach. And, at some point you get that critical mass where you can start pushing the gas on the pedal. And we think that time is starting to approach. And we think we're ready because we've displayed with a high level of confidence that we're right now in the lab producing the highest quality lithium concentrates in North America. In fact, they're comparable to the Greenbushes, which I'm sure you're familiar, Matthew, that it's the mother of all. And in terms of cost curve, which we all care about, it's at the bottom. So it's there because and downstream chemicals being fed by Greenbushes are the cheapest to produce, and that's the name of the game. And we think we have the Greenbushes in North America coming together here at Frontier Lithium.
Okay, that's great. You've kind of worked out the science bit, but it's like, the question you've been asked before, and I'm asking you again, is, do you think you could have done it quicker or should have done it quicker? Because where you are today is great, fantastic, but you're spending money. You talk about spending $2 to $3 million a year. So that's the number you just gave me. I mean, how much money have you spent getting to this point?
Yeah, we're just shy about $50 million investment now on both on the ground and the corresponding or associated test work for that. Back. Let's take a step back, and I think for the ability for a company to the long-term vision is to become a supplier at Frontier Lithium, and we know we have a world-class asset here, and the upside potential is really huge. Our first steps and part of the business strategy, and if I can again reference the importance of concentrates for the building block or the stepping stone to produce chemicals. The focus for us up until this point was to look at the possibility of a niche market, and that is the second largest and what used to be the largest segment in use for lithium, and that being the industrial players, so the likes of Corning or Schott, those that would produce the highest quality glass ceramics in the world. So that's an interesting option that we explored. So it led to about 2 years ago putting a bulk sample through a large plant over in Europe. It's about de-risking, and you got to go through these steps. It's not a commodity. It's back to your point that it's very opaque. It's not a lot of people understand it. So you got to use that as a guiding light, and not if you take drastic moves, and number one, it's no sense in putting the keys and betting the farm in short order when the market's coming and the market's not here yet. So it's really, in our view, important to continue to de-risk the asset in preparation. We'll be ready when the market starts to value and we see the equities go where they need to, and that's support, so that we can build supply for what's required by manufacturers. So, we think we've had the right approach. We're not in this to try and make $1 million overnight. We think that there's a bigger pot at the end of the rainbow, and we think that that rainbow is coming. So.
Okay. So what you're saying is we moved at an appropriate pace. The market wasn't there, but it's coming. So when it comes, we're in a position to move quickly. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you've got, okay? Because this kind of worked in almost like two phases. You talk about glass there. I think known as Gorilla Glass. People would understand that that's stuff that perhaps is used to on your iPhone. It's a high quality, tougher glass product. But then you did some more work, right? You kind of worked out actually. Yeah. We've got a bit more than we thought. We could probably get into the produce hydroxide. So it started to become really interesting at that point to you, right? So tell us the journey you went on there, please.
Yeah, no, lovely. After that first drill hole, we were approached very quickly by those in the know and industrial users that identified very quickly the high quality aspect of our first, what we call the PAC deposit on our project. So, we put out a PFS in 2018, and it was looking at producing high quality concentrate for industrial players. You're correct, and that is we about a year and a half ago made a second discovery on the project, and that is a second deposit, which is called the Spark deposit, which appears to be about 2 to 3 times the size of the PAC deposit at surface. I'd like to add that both of those deposits, they're located about 2.3 kilometers away from each other. So essentially in the same mine site area, future mine site area. Spark was a significant event for us because it brought on the easy tonnage located right at surface, where you can easily display that you have a 20-year plus mine life to have a vertically integrated company. So you've got that critical mass to support the larger project to get into the game of lithium chemicals. So it was a significant find for us. Both deposits are open. So that really gave us the footing to take the step on further de-risking of a project and opening up the optionality. And all of these things, given that the big market is coming, they really provide leverage for us that we have built optionality in. So you've got the ability now to address and produce material for industrial users, which is really unique. I'd like to add that Corning is an example. They're really a single-sourced group by the Greenbushes mine in Australia. So we think there's great opportunity there, and as well to move down and look at the chemicals. So it was about a year and a half ago that. To 2 years ago that we started in the lab working on taking our, high quality concentrates that we're producing from our project and started to take a good hard look at the flow sheets and the opportunity around chemicals. So again, we've gone through steps on the chemical side. We've recently announced that we just wrapped up bench scale. You're producing lithium hydroxide in the lab right here with a technology partner, XPS, which is a Glencore company. It's Glencore's lab here in Falconbridge. So in fact, we're building a pilot plant as we speak that we look to start up in the near future. And that's initial plan is with that is to use technology that we've developed to produce greater quantities of lithium hydroxide that we can show to the market and use to take the next steps here.
Okay, brilliant. Look, lithium's mining, but it's also a lot more technical, right? It's kind of yes. I liken it to uranium. It's you can mine it and dig it out of the ground, but you've got to have the right technical know-how to how you're going to process it, what you're actually going to be able to end up with. You took the spodumene story and you're talking the hydroxide story, both of which are kind of highly popular at the moment after Tesla did the deal with Piedmont with their spodumene offtake. So people are starting to understand the difference. And lithium isn't just lithium. So when you're talking about doing, scoping studies in your PEA, you're having to address both the mining component and the sort of technical solutions too. So you started talking about XPS. So what is XPS going to do for you? What's that going to tell the market?
Yeah, so it's back to your point of adding Steve onto the board. We realize our strengths and our weaknesses here, and XPS has been a technology partner. So we're partnered around the technology, around producing lithium chemicals from hard rock sources. So. Again, that's adding to our team essentially. The beauty for us, I'd like to say it first off that mines build chemical plants. Chemical plants don't build mines. So we bring a lot of leverage to the table, and that is the high quality, high tonnage resource on our project, and it's from there that you can work and truly do meaningful work, that you can be a player and build out high quality chemicals downstream. But again, you need the right partners to do that. Right now, that partnership is around the technology. Our job right now collectively is we need to deliver high quality, which you'd reference as battery grade hydroxide. The pilot's going to start soon, and first quarter of next year is our goal to show to the market what our technology is made of and what we can do. Like that is very simple, very Northern Ontarian, very Northern Ontarian approach, and that's that KISS method. Just keep it simple, stupid, and a lot of expertise. In the Sudbury camp here. The nice thing with XPS is they're our neighbors. I grew up with Inco and Falconbridge. It's in our DNA here, just given the fact that a lot of your high quality nickel comes from this camp. So we've got the pyro expertise, we've got the hydro expertise, dealt with sulfide. So we are looking at the acid roots in our flow sheet. So for us as Northerners, as a result of nickel production here, it's generating lots of sulfuric acid. And from an ESG perspective, if we can go down that path, no better use for sulfuric acid than to produce the chemicals required for batteries. So, we think we got a great partner there, and it'll be really interesting to see all this unfold as the market continues to approach and we move forward.
Okay, but you've got to have some sort of sense as to where you're going, right? So to be able to work out what it is that you're going to produce, you need to know who your potential partners could be, who the off-takers could be, where you're selling into. So how do you decide between, technical grade versus battery grade or whatever else is that you've got the option of being able to produce?
So again, let's talk about the spodumene level and producing the first concentrate. We've displayed through our testing with industrial users, that we have what's referred to as technical grade spodumene. That can be confusing because when you look at the chemical, technical grade is the more inferior and dirtier chemical. But when you look at the spodumene, technical grade means it's the best. When I say that, it's meaning that it has really low impurities and the spodumene is really clean. So iron is a prime example. Iron is a key culprit in the spodumene matrix. And the beauty with us is we have a deposit model that's very unique in that we have this low iron spodumene on our project. So when it's good enough to fit the bill for going direct into a furnace to produce the best glass in the world, the rest is chemistry when you start thinking about using that high quality material to produce chemicals. So it provides us a good confidence, knowing the importance, not only on a cost, but even more importantly on a quality level, that we will have the potential to feed a future chemical plant located in the Great Lakes region of North America. That is the potential when you have high quality to also then be on the low end of the cost curve. So I can't stress enough that mines build chemical plants. Chemical plants don't build mines. So hence the focus to address firstly, can we produce something that fits the bill for glass makers? Check. Yes. Great. With the additional tonnage in a second resource, now, do we have the potential to look downstream so we could have that second quiver for our business and the second revenue stream for the company? And that's what we're looking to address right now, and that's what's taking place as the main focus for the company. Many are now looking at the U.S. We know that Europe is a little bit ahead. There's a big game being talked in Europe and a lot of investment. Some of the challenge that we see in Europe is lack of resource. So we think, it's important for Europe to need the right partners, whether it, be out of Australia, the Asian market. A natural one on that list is North America. So that's good. We're starting to feel that pull come out of Europe, which is really starting to motivate North Americans. So we're really pleased about that. The Americans in particular, we're starting to see the investment in the U.S. They talk about 3 hubs in the U.S., that being, Texas, the Carolinas, and Detroit. We'd like to add, it's not really just about Detroit, it's about the Great Lakes region. And this is like the old Rockefeller days, of moving oil around the Great Lakes. What an intermodal hub and what an opportunity when you've got, the heartbeat of North America happening in that region from a manufacturing standpoint. So really advantageous location for us. And I'd like to add to that, Ontario has recently thrown their hat into the game, and we've seen within the last 30 days a commitment of about $3 billion, and that's a combination of Ford, Daimler, Chrysler, and to add to that, that's the Ontario government and the federal government as well. So that's a great catalyst. We think in the big picture we're spot on with our timing. So our ambitions is to build a company that can be a part of that value chain or supply chain and feeds OEMs in the Great Lakes region. So, we're targeting to start building a fully integrated company in 2024, conservatively. So that's, if that gives you a bit of a timeline, that yes, we do plan on starting to accelerate our plans here. But again, it's based on delivering. So what's really important is us to maintain focus on this next stage pilot. With some success on that, it's going to start to speed up.
Okay. So great timing in the Great Lakes, because you've got your friends just down in Detroit near you. So you're saying in the right part of the world, right? And you're going to speed things up, accelerate things to do what in 2024 exactly?
Well, if as long as the market provides, as many of the analysts are predicting, many think that there's going to be a shortfall in the industry on supply. 2020, it'll start the latter part of 2021 into 2022. A lot of the OEMs are talking about rolling out their EVs roughly around 2025 in a great way. So our goal is to make sure we don't need to be the first at the table. We like to be the second at the table, and we know we're advantaged with location, and there's a huge phenomenon going around the world as well, and that's the that's the globalization of localization. If you look at the transport routes of how the raw material feedstock, whether it be brine from South America or hard rock from Australia, if you follow that flow of raw materials to the through the added value to produce, the precursors and the final batteries, it's really horrendous footprint. So great opportunity. Great opportunity. At the end of the day, got to be low cost. Got to have the right resource, right technology, right partners. So that's our focus right now. We'll be ready when the market's there for sure.
Okay. Thanks for that summary. So I just want to be clear on one thing though. So XPS, I get it. Which other partners have you got on board at the moment, or are you talking to at the moment with regards to helping you move things forward technically?
Yeah, we're feeling a lot of support out of, in particular, the Ontario government here. We've been in a lot of conversations. Government here is being very proactive on assisting projects such as ourselves that are members of the potential critical material supply chain. So I can tell you that our jurisdiction is extremely proactive, and I can't say much more than that. We're feeling the love from the Ontario government in particular here. So.
What's that mean?
Right now,
are they giving you money, or are they being enthusiastic? I mean, what's that mean?
No, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, and I can't talk out of school. But from a speed and efficiency process, we're getting a lot of support from the government with regards to permitting activities that are taking place on our project right now. We're seeing the investment of Ontario into Ford. The really strategic, it's not just about Ford, it's about building that value chain. Part of the problem that we've seen as Canadians is for many, many years, you mine it and ship it. So what a great opportunity for governments to try and get this right in this transformation of transport and battery energy storage. So we're feeling the Ontario governments like you're feeling in Europe. They want to build the value chain. And, we've started dialogue a couple of years ago, and our advice has always been, work with what you got. And right now, the Great Lakes region is rich in manufacturing. We're rich here in the north with high quality resources. Well, as you know, there's been a lot of investment downstream of the supply or at the mine level. That slowly we feel that the market's bottomed out a couple of months ago, but there's still really a failure by market to support the new supply. So that really is, government's responsibility in simple philosophical terms to step in where there's market failure and it's a public good. So again, we don't want to talk at a school, but when we see the government support downstream of us, and we see, the communication that we're having, we're essentially what I'm essentially telling you is there's a great invisible hand there working to try and expedite and build this entire value chain. So we'll see how this plays out. In the meantime, what really attracts partners is creating leverage, and it's important for us to deliver. We've delivered resource that has created some partners that we have and we can speak of today. We have one more step we'd like to deliver with greater level of confidence on the chemical side. That's happening in the coming months, and from there it'll provide further leverage for us to attract the according partners required for us to continue to move this forward. So,
what does that look? What does that look like, Trevor? To deliver that one more stage on the chemicals front? What do you need to deliver, and who's that going to attract? Don't
hear me wrong. We're working on technology. We've got intellectual property. I can tell you it's very simple. We have not disclosed any details around it. There's some sensitivity around the patents things have not been finalized on our side. So that's why we've been a little bit tight-lipped around our work on chemicals. Don't get me wrong, and don't let me mince words here. This is not a technology company. This is a mining company in the making with technology upside. And I talk to shareholders on a day-to-day basis, and I really want to be clear that we're not academics. The nice thing with XPS as a partner is hearing the hum of the smelter in Falconbridge. We believe we've got very simple technology to produce high quality chemicals. So if we have unforeseen problems, we're not going to spend 5 years trying to make something the mousetrap work when we see it's not working. That's not the case, and we don't feel that. But the good news is we're seeing peers take spodumene inferior to what we know we can have the potential to produce from our project, and hit battery grade on a very common flow sheet that's well known around the world. So that's if that's a vote of confidence that we think we're investing in something, a better mousetrap that's simpler with less byproducts to deal with, and add a recycling component to the flow sheet. We think that's worthwhile pursuing. But again, that's 6 months. I'll be able to look at you in the eye, Matthew, and tell you that we've got the goods, and we carry on. My backup plan is we can use incumbent technology that's available to us. We know we have the important high quality feedstock, and that's really the most important thing. You'll never make great chemicals if you don't have the right feedstock for the chemical plant.
Right. No, okay, I hear you. I hope we do talk in 6 months' time, and I hope you are successful. I really do. But your I would go long-suffering shareholders want to know what's happening between now and 6 months' time. What can they look forward to? Because being tight-lipped is one thing, but you can only say what you've got. But at the same time, you've got to give them some sort of excitement, a sense of what's going forward. Is this what Steve's been brought in for? Is he going to try and drum up a bit of interest with brokers and so forth, or institutions in the market about your story? I mean, how do we get things moving? Because I make money when my shares go up in value, right? So you're kind of, you know what I mean? You're focused on the. I run businesses too, and I describe it this way. The admin of running business. You've got to get the technicals right. You've got to manage you've got to get all of those things right. It's difficult. It's mining, but shareholder, I want share price to go up. What am I looking forward to?
Yeah, no. So it's and then we feel that there's going to be great news flow in the short term. You're correct. Steve's come in to add to that aspect of the business. We're planning a drill program up at the project at the asset this about 2 to 3 months from now. Again, those two resources are open in all directions. The upside potential is just astronomical on our project. We have a 65 kilometer long corridor, which is referenced as the Electric Avenue in Northern Ontario. There's a high quality showing about 30 kilometers up the fault from the two known deposits. We haven't even looked at the project yet. We've been focused on the two initial deposits. So from the exploration standpoint, increasing the level of confidence in the resources, adding to the tonnage, these things are back on the table here in fairly short order. So we think our timing is right for that. So there's going to be a lot of excitement for shareholders from the resource standpoint, in addition to a PEA that we're working on for full integration that we expect to have out in the coming months as well. The operation of the pilot on taking really clean concentrates and that's taking place right now, flotation of material and building of the pilot plant. So the results of that pilot as well on that third leg of the stool, which is the chemical aspect of the business. So
have you got enough money to do that?
Again, there's a lot of excitement happening and investment happening in the company right now.
Perfect. Have you got enough money to do all of that?
Yeah, we do. Our cash position is we've got a couple $1 million in the till. To date, we've raised money as we've needed it. So we're funded to see through what I just mentioned to you right now. So, of course, our hope is to see some higher levels based on the test work that's funded. We have adequate funding for. So there's a lot of excitement, in the company. We're really happy to see Tesla's Battery Day, and a lot of mixed messages I'd like to add from that. But even bad news is good news, and it was really just good to see Keith at Piedmont's MOU signed with Tesla, and it's been really exciting for them. So
Keith being Piedmont.
Piedmont, sorry. So Tesla's not the only story, and there's other stories that are really starting to form here. When you stay tuned, I think it's going to be a lot of excitement. The big guys are making moves now, and no one likes to be left behind. So it's really nice to see the incumbents and the Fords of the world start to put some money on the table. So we're pretty excited, and when we look at quality of resource, we think that we're right up there. So we'd expect that our values, our stock values, to going to be dramatically different than where it is now. So when we look on a per Lithia unit basis in situ, we're really undervalued. We have a larger resource than one of the largest in North America, larger than any that are in the United States right now. So we're getting these in order, and we're getting the story straight. And again, we think the next 12 months are going to be lots of fun for ourselves and shareholders. So
Piedmont too, is it?
Couldn't possibly say. Before, yeah.
Couldn't possibly say. Trevor, thank you so much for running through that story. Love it. It's a nice story. It's a nice, tidy story. I look forward to you delivering all of those things that you talked about. It sounds like we should catch up in the new year, because you'll have delivered quite a few of them, especially the PA. Look forward to that. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. And look forward to the next chat. And have a nice fall.